Okay, good morning everybody. We are back today with another video, and this one is kind of a compilation. It's what I had intended to do with last week's video with the sonkers, but the main thing we're making in this one is a summer squash and zucchini soup. So we're going to get started on that. And we're also throwing together some quiche and some dinner, which is going to be some quick, easy sandwiches on the grill. So you're just kind of going through with me today on just getting kitchen projects done. Which on this day I had started with the sonkers, which you again saw last week, and I will link that video here. But right now I am chopping vegetables to get the quiche in the oven, so then I can work on the soup while the sonkers and the quiche and all that are cooking. So just chopping up some red onion. This is one of my favorite quiche combinations, and that is red onion, spinach, and tomato. And when you have, how many chickens? I see I have like 38 hens right now, and then we just got some more babies. We have a lot of eggs, plus we have some ducks. So also just yet another project I forgot I did on this day, where I had been making the sonkers. I had washed the rest of the blackberries, and so I packaged them up for the freezer. And obviously I forgot to write on the package, which, as you all know, is a lot easier to do it flat before you put everything in it than to do it after everything is in it. So this will give me, I can't remember, I think it was 2 packages of blackberries, which is enough for at least 2 more sonkers, or 2 more cobblers, whatever you want to call them. Or I can take both packages and make some jam or something. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but those went in the freezer. I have learned I do not like freeze drying them. They're very seedy. Anything with thick skins, like grapes or blueberries or cherries, they're very hard to freeze dry and get that fully dried texture. So I have discovered, now I know like there is someone who has raised and developed a muscadine grape locally that has a thin skin and no seeds, and they freeze dry them and they are amazing. But the access I have to the grapes in the vineyard I have, it's not possible. I have not tried juicing them and freeze drying the juice yet, but I don't like freeze drying just the fruit itself if it has a lot of seeds or a thick skin. It doesn't turn out the way I want it to. So there's my PSA for freeze drying randomly in this video. But it felt really good on this day to get so many little projects done, and I could probably do 3 days a week just getting kitchen projects done between the garden work and everything else, but it's crazy. And so before I put them in the freezer, I put in a paper towel just to catch that excess moisture. And then I took the paper towel out and squeezed all the air out before putting in the freezer. But here is the quiche toppings again. The onions have been cooking in some butter, and I'm adding the spinach. And this is young, tender spinach. And I did not have tomatoes from the garden yet, so I used these little sprinkle tomatoes, which I actually really enjoy for the quiche because they're so tiny and you don't have to cut them, and they just make a really pretty topping. So now we're making the filling, and you will see I did not bother with homemade crust. That is not something I'm in the habit of making. I have made them before, but it's one of those things I have not perfected yet, and it is on my list of things to do, is perfect my quiche and get it to where I can make it pretty. All mine are very rustic. I do crack all of my eggs in a bowl by themselves because these are homegrown eggs, and I do have some broody hens. With this heat, they like to hide them and lay on them, and then, it only takes a day or two before they get kind of gross because they start developing, and then you pull them, and then when you go to crack them, they've gone bad. So I have to check each individual egg from my stash. So you'll see I'll throw some away and rinse the bowl, and then some I'll put in. So it's kind of a process. And because I always make bulk quiches, quiche freezes really well. So if you wrap it like 4 times in saran wrap, once it's cooked, it will freeze, and then you can thaw it out and heat up individual pieces, or put it in an oven once thawed at like 300 degrees for 15 minutes, just to kind of slowly heat it through and not get that crust burnt more. It's really great. Quiche is so easy that it doesn't take a lot of time to make fresh. But if you're going to make it, you might as well make 3 or 4. And then you've got them frozen, and then you can just whip them out. So that's why it's taking so many eggs, because I think I did 4 quiche on this day, and you have about 5 eggs per quiche. And since I have some small eggs, some large eggs, some duck eggs, I say about 5, because, if I'm doing small eggs, then I'll add an extra one. If I'm adding a duck egg, I might lower the number by 1. But when I'm making 4, we're doing probably 15 eggs, just to make sure we have enough to fill everything up. And so that includes, the duck eggs and stuff like that. So I think I actually used a whole carton at 18, but 1 or 2 of them was bad. And then we're doing today half and half, because that's what I had on hand. If I have goat's milk on hand, I will use that. Whole milk is fine, but I had just used up all my goat's milk. And then you go ahead and season your egg mixture. I think I have another video that has how to make quiche. I'll try to link that. These are staple products in my house, the Sonkers, the quiche, especially in the summer. They're so easy. When you have the fresh fruit and the vegetables coming out of the garden. And then I like, because I'm doing the savory spinach, I like putting garlic powder. You could put fresh and saute it with that onion. I did not. I have a ton of garlic powder I had ordered from Azure Standard, and I'm trying to work through that. Plus I've got my own garlic coming in that I need to work through, so it's just whatever's easiest. And today, that was garlic powder. And then, of course, I'm not very good at watching where the overhead phone is, or camera, excuse me. So this is all going into a food processor and blend it up, and then I can just pour it into, apparently I'm fighting with it. There we go. You put all your toppings into your dishes, and then pour your egg over it. Don't ever put your egg mixture in first and then add your toppings. It'll splash and go everywhere. and those toppings are going to rise through the egg mixture as it bakes. And I put pictures at the end of this video that shows everything from the day. So I have learned that if you're going to use a pre-made pie crust, these deep dish Marie calendars are fantastic. So much better than the Pillsbury, or I think that the rollout ones are Pillsbury too. These are just a really great depth, and they hold together beautifully. And I think at my local food line, I want to say they're like $3.99, and you get 2 of them. So it's like $2 a piece, which I know could be a lot less, but for the flavor and the size, they're what I choose. They are my favorite store-bought. And I have learned to put some of the cheese that you want in the bottom, and then sprinkle some on top, which I actually don't think I sprinkled any on top today because I put it all on the bottom. But this is how quick and easy making multiple comes together, because you're using one pan to make your toppings. You're putting your egg mixture in the blender, so you're not using any more dishes or anything to make multiples at one time. So you just spoon out your mixture, which this is the spinach, tomato, onion. And I try to make sure I have an equal amount of all the ingredients. Y'all hear my antique table squeaking as I move. That's one of the things that I've been doing to help me stay consistent is I've been editing at my kitchen table so I can have projects going on in the kitchen while I'm working on videos. So y'all get to hear the squeaky antique table as I move around. Alright, so the quiche are going into the oven, and these are the Sonkers from last week coming out of the oven. Again, I'll link that here in case you missed the link in the first part of the video. And this was the blackberry and peach. And since then I have made a blueberry and lemon that turned out amazing. So once the oven has been switched out, then we start on the ingredients for this summer squash soup. And this is the first time I have made this. And it came out really well. I think I could have blended it down more. I thought I would want a little bit of texture to it, but I think it may have been better if it had been completely smooth. But this is going to be medium squash, or yeah, 3 medium yellow squash, and which I think I doubled everything. I'm not sure. No, I didn't. Okay. I did add a bunch of different stuff. Before I even tried the recipe, I'm already alternating it. But I've made so many soups and stews, I kind of know my flavors that I want. So it called for 2 carrots, but obviously I put in quite a few. So I did double this. And I did a very small dice. And I did a whole onion in some oil to get started while I did the vegetables. And my counter is actually quite a bit bigger than this, but I don't have the option of a wider angle with this tripod, so I keep everything tight. Now this celery is actually from my garden, and I need to harvest the rest of it because it's starting to get bitter from the heat. But the celery actually thrived this year, so I think I might try to grow some more in the fall. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm not sure if I can grow celery in the fall here. I should be able to, but it thrived and is beautiful, but the leaves are starting to burn now, so I need to go ahead and harvest it all. I might do that this afternoon. Take some of it to the farmer's market with me because I planted quite a bit. I'll freeze dry it. Alright, so then I'm going to do, the recipe again called for 3 medium yellow squash, but I think I doubled, so I do like 6 or 10. And if you see me putting my knife through some of these bigger ones, I go down until the skin gets soft again. And with this one, that outer skin I cut off because it's starting to harden up. And you can even scrape out the seeds if the seeds are too big. But this one, the seeds were not that big. I'm always looking for ways to use squash and zucchini. And then whatever I don't use, I will dice up and put in the freezer and eventually freeze dry. I have canned it before, but I kind of like it freeze dried because it's so nice to add to stir fry, and you don't get that wet sliminess to it that it can have when it's canned. But making like squash pies or casseroles, it works great canned, but I still have some canned, but I've run out of it freeze dried, so I may freeze dry some more. Zucchini is great to shred and store in the freezer or to freeze dry because then you can bulk up soups and stews that you use beef because it absorbs that flavor, or keep it on hand to make zucchini bread. So if I do some of that processing, I will try to record a video of it. And at this point, as I am chopping, I am adding it to that pot of cooking onion, I believe. Well, actually, it looks like I'm just putting it in a bowl. Maybe I didn't add it yet. The problem with doing voiceover like a week and a half after you film something. But hey, I'm being consistent, people, so I'm enjoying that. So this is some of my fresh garlic from my garden that I had not trimmed up yet. So take a little time to do that. I love fresh garlic, but admittedly, I hate peeling garlic. It's so frustrating. So one of my goals this year is to take my garlic harvest and go ahead and just do it all at one time and then dice it and freeze dry it, and then have some freeze dried garlic pieces, and then powder some as well, because I do tend to grab either jarred garlic in oil or freeze-dried garlic powder before using fresh garlic, just because it's such a pain to do. So having learned that about myself, I want to go ahead and process like my entire harvest at one go. I think I will use it much better that way. And same with like my storage onions and green peppers. I just want to go ahead and process them. So this is a quick look at what we had for dinner that night while I was busy in the kitchen with all these projects. I whipped up some ham and cheese and grilled cheese sandwiches on the Blackstone. So this is back to all that soup that has been cooking, and I'm blending it up. So all the vegetables that I've cooked was the 4 garlic cloves, the yellow onion, celery, carrot, zucchini, and squash. Added cumin and coriander, some white wine and chicken broth, lemon juice, sage, oregano, rosemary, thyme, which I used some Italian seasoning, some smoked paprika, red pepper flakes, salt, pepper, and olive oil. That's everything that's in it, and I will put that recipe below. And then after all the vegetables are tender and all your seasonings are added, you blend it up with your immersion blender to smooth all those chunks out. And so that is a summer squash soup, and it does have a really great flavor. My amounts may be off because I measure a lot of things with my heart. And so I didn't measure all my seasonings that I ended up adding that were not part of that original recipe. So here's a look at the 2 sonkers I made. Again, from the video last week, this was all in one day. And then here are the 4 completed quiche. And this all took me maybe 3 hours to do all together. Here is the ham and cheese and grilled cheese dinner. I know I got a little burnt on some of the edges. And the soup all done. So come back next week and see what I've gotten into. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.